Hey guys, so final video in my ABH one palette series for the Subculture palette, okay? And I wanted to go ahead and use some of the cooler colors in this palette, kind of grayer, cooler colors, since the last couple colors I've done have been very warm-ish, the yellows, the reds, that kind of color. Those kind of colors, so I did want to go feature some of the colors that probably people won't gravitate towards as much in this palette, okay? So let me talk about this palette, all right? So this palette has probably been the most polarizing palette, if that's what we want to call it, of 2017. And it really is a palette that you either love or you don't, from what I've been seeing, okay? Per usual, let me scoot over. I'll put swatches and stuff as I talk about the palette in this area, okay? So, guys, this palette is one that takes a bit of finesse, okay? I agree with everyone else that has said that you cannot go in and use the palette like any other regular palette, especially when you come to the shade Fudge, okay? This shade here, and you saw it I used it in the first two videos, it's probably the most difficult shade to work with, and I'll put the swatches here, just because it's a shade that if you go in too heavy with too much product on your brush, if you just kind of swirl it around and go in too heavy, regardless, I personally feel regardless of any product or whatever that you have on your lid, wherever your brush hits first, of course, that's where the most pigment is going to be, and it's going to take you forever to blend out because it is so pigmented, okay? So with all of these colors, Access, Rowdy, All-Star, Fudge, the matte colors that are in here, they are going to take a bit of building up, okay? Not because they're not pigmented, but because you need to go in very lightly to begin with and build up the color as you go, okay? And these colors also, and I mean, this has happened to me with some of my pigments, pure pigments or whatever. Also, when you first lay them down, like Mercury, you'll see today, it's more taupey, but once I start blending it out, you get this more smoky gray color, okay? So when you first lay it down, you see a taupe-ish, cool taupe color. But then when you start actually working the color, smoking it out and all that jazz, it does go very, very smoky, which is fine. I personally like that, especially if I'm going for a one color lid, because I can lay it out on my lid and blend it up, and I'll automatically get that kind of deeper crease color without having to go in and build up a crease, okay? Y'all ignore the hair. Ignore the hair if it hasn't come up yet. If I haven't put it up yet, I will have a tutorial. Somebody asked me for a tutorial how I do my crochet mohawks or whatever. But the reason why I have all these colors on my head is because I'm going to Carnival. So anyways, back to the palette. But yeah, so overall, y'all, this is an awesome palette, and I will be picking up their new palette that's coming out, the Prism palette. So I like this palette. It really takes a light hand to use. You cannot go in and just and whatever. You know, you can't do that like you would do in Morphe or Urban Decay or some of these harder pressed or less pigmented type colors. It's like if you were using a pigment from a pot, you know, like Magnolia Makeup or something like that, you would go in and just tap your brush and lay your product down, do what you do. If you need more, you go pick up more, but you never want to go in too heavy because it's gonna take you more work to get the effect that you want, okay? So that's it, guys. I like this palette. I recommend it if you're willing to understand that it's not it's not a Morphe palette. It's not something that is going to take a lot of work to get pigment. You have to use it as something that is very pigmented, and understand that wherever I put my brush down, if I do have a lot of product on my brush, I'm going to have to work to kind of, I'm going to have to work to blend this out, or, you know, do y'all get what I'm saying? I hope I'm making sense. This is an awesome palette. It will be a staple for fall for me. I do like this look. It is not my usual, but y'all know I do gravitate towards these color lips, so I said why not do an eye that looks like the lip. Anyway, so here is the tutorial for this look, y'all, and yeah, I'll see what palette I have up next. If y'all have a request for me to do a palette, go ahead, drop it in the comments or whatever. Subscribe, like, all that jazz, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye. Alright guys, so to start off, I'm using the shade Roxy, and I'm putting that in my crease and all the way up to where my brow bone starts, okay? So I think I had a little bit of gray left over from doing the other eye on my brush, so pardon that, but it'll all work out when I'm finished with the look. So I'm taking Roxy and I'm placing it all the way up to my brow bone, that whole crease area there, because when it comes to Mercury, I will be building it up and bringing it up into the crease, so this just allows for Mercury to fade into that brow bone better. Alright, and now I'm taking on a flat brush Mercury, and I'm just packing that onto my lid and bringing it up into the crease, so that when it's time, I will go ahead and blend it out, or blend it into the crease with a blending brush. And as you can see here, I'm blending it on a blending brush. I did tap my brush into the color, so the brush is going in with Mercury on it, and I'm just gonna blend that out and get it to blend with Roxy, that pink color that I put down. And as I blend it out, the tone that Mercury originally is kind of faded out. So I just went back in and patted some down, and then I'm going back in with a little bit of Roxy and then a little bit more of Mercury, and just kind of alternating the color so that I get the blend that I want. And you got to make sure both eyes match. So that's what I'm doing here. Alright, so I'm spraying my brush with a bit of Fix Plus, and I am going to lay down cube. I'm using a, a pencil brush, just because it's a little bit easier for me to blend that color in with that pencil brush. And I'm doing a halo look, so I'm just blending cube out in the middle of my eyelid. All right, so I'm taking a purple liner and just lining my waterline and my lower lash line with it. And then I'm gonna go in with Rowdy on a pencil brush. Is it Rowdy? Yeah, Rowdy on a pencil brush, which is the black and purple in the palette. And then on a flat eyeshadow brush, I'm just taking Mercury and smoking out Rowdy and just smoking out the lower lash line. And then for my brow bone, I'm going in with Dawn. And then just taking an empty brush and blending those colors together. Alright, for my liner, I'm going to be using Danyessa Myricks color fixes in the black and the white, mixing that to make a kind of smoke gray color. I didn't want to do a black liner, so I'm just using these, and these are, I'll talk about these more in my favorites, but they are multi-use colors, okay? Priming my lashes with Sil's Lash Booster from Lancome. And then I'm going in with L'Oreal Lash Paradise as my mascara. And then for lashes, I'm using Kiss number 11s. Alright, for bronzer, contour, I'm using MAC Blunt. I'm going in with this one because it's not super harsh, and since I'm doing a more cool tone look, I don't want anything that pulls too warm on my skin, and this does not. And then for blush, I'm using a LaFemme blush. I'll put it down in the description box exactly what color it was because I don't have it in front of me and I can't remember. And then for highlight, I'm using Danyessa Myricks in light powder. It looks a little harsh right now, but once I go in and blend everything together, it's gonna look fine, guys. I wanted to do this because it does remind me of Cube. And yeah, it's really, I love her powders. So it just ties everything all together, in my opinion. And here I am just blending all the stuff together with my blush brush and going back in with my what's left over on my contour brush. Alright, so I'm lining my lips with NYX's Taupe lip liner. Since I am going to do a more cool tone lip color, this just is a nice lip liner for that. I'm going in with Give Me Glow Cosmetics, her gray color. I'll list it in the description box exactly what it is. So the gray color is called The Weekend. And I'm putting it on kind of rubbing it into my lips to let it dry a little, and then I'm going over that with Give Me Glow Cosmetics Laura Croft, and this one was actually in my gray grayish, whatever we want to call it, lip color video. And I'm mixing these two colors to give me a bit of an ombre, but a more gray toned pink, if that makes sense. And it almost looks like how the eyes look. I didn't mean to do that, but it is what it is. Spraying with a little bit of Scandinavia Oil Control Spray. And yeah, guys, so here's the final look. I don't think I've ever done gray eyeshadow like this before. I like it. It's okay. But hope you enjoyed, and I will talk to y'all later. Bye.